Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. We fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom.
On this episode of Cigars and Sea Stories, Mike Penny sitting down alone this time with Elana Duffy, who is the founder and CEO of veterans resource review platform Pathfinder Labs Incorporated. She is an Army veteran of the intelligence sector, the Super Secret Squirrel Club sector, and I'm really looking forward to getting down into the sea stories, what she can share, that is, without killing me on this episode. So without further ado, Elana Duffy, thank you so much. Welcome to Cigars and Sea Stories.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. No, we have a mutual connection over here, and we've got to make a shout out. Miss Diane Barron was the one who introduced us. How do you know Diane?
Peripherally, really, through other folks in the veteran artist community. She's working on some veteran artist projects, and so we just connected that way. And she's doing some really interesting stuff too. So
she really is. Now you said peripherally, but you are into a lot of really cool stuff. I mean, Team Red, White, and Blue. You're doing scuba expeditions, hiking, mountaineering. It is like,
yeah,
this is cool.
I like to stay busy.
Yeah. So tell us first and foremost about Pathfinder, and then we'll kind of go through the adventure until then.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you about the Super Secret Squirrel Club.
Oh, right. Naturally. Because, yeah.
So Pathfinder.
So Pathfinder is it's similar to like a Yelp trademark for veterans, but it's a way for veterans to get their voice out, and also a way for the community to see what's going right, what can be improved, and how to improve it. And so we're doing an entire tech revamp of the way that community services are offered, how they're put forward to veterans and family members, how it's incorporated into different municipalities and communities. It's a way that we are looking to change transition overall. And what our ideal goal is to shift the transition narrative, like when you start planning and when you start looking at everything, way back to when you're still in kind of the protected, sheltered environment of the military, and be able to find things in the area you're going to way earlier, so you don't have to go through that period of feeling like you're unsupported. And then we're also going to do the analysis piece so that we can hopefully filter out what's going great, what really needs improvement, and what could go away. Yeah.
No, I commend you in that. That's fantastic. It's like it's like hot washing and vetting all of these different resources, to whatever extent. I love it. That's fantastic. And it syncs up so well with a lot of other veteran resources that are out there. I mean, like a lot of other services that would facilitate, towards veterans. So that's fantastic. So I understand and I get it, but you've got this rich background, frankly. I mean, there's no other way to put it. You also do ghostwriting and content development through your firm Present Tense LLC as well, correct?
That is correct.
So no,
yeah, I like I said, I like to stay busy. So I'm the chief operations officer of Present Tense, which is another I helped found a couple of years ago now. Pathfinder being a relatively new project, it's a little bit over a year old, but Present Tense is a really interesting way to use both sides of my brain.
Right.
And
yeah, I love that.
Yeah. It's because people are like, wait, you own a tech company and then you're the COO of a writing company? I have no idea what's going on.
Right.
So it's been really great. We cover all kinds of topics. We write books. We edit books. We help people design what should be on a website and help people get their blogs written in a timely fashion, much to the detriment sometimes of our own blog, which we don't always have time for because we're doing everybody else's. And we even do like articles for Harvard Business Review and The Economist and so forth. So it's a really varied position. We've got a couple of books that are bestsellers in their own field that we either wrote or edited. So
nice.
Yeah, it's going pretty well. It's all nonfiction though. I'm not going to write your like weird space sci-fi military fantasy, but I may be able to put you in touch with co-writers that can help. But
nice.
I'm personally not the person to do that for you.
Yeah, and you're right in the thick of it too. I mean, you're in New York City.
Yeah.
You know, doing all of this. You run both companies out of there, and then do you have partners in various locations, or do you have an office downtown, or how's that work?
My present tense partner is in Chicago, and we see each other like once a year, and we talk on the phone approximately never. It's awesome. Like we're a complete like low to no overhead type of company. And that's actually what we're starting to do with Pathfinder as well. The development team is, I think that we're going to get together. Most of them are here in New York. So we are probably going to get together at a pub, I think, on Wednesday and like sit and go over the next phase of development. So it's pretty awesome. I do work out of New York City's Civic Hall space, which has been generous enough to give me a seat.
Nice.
And it's for social enterprises and helping them develop and grow because they love what we're doing, and the city is starting to really get on board with what we're doing as well. So using it as a test case, I will not say no.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. So now kind of like rewinding the clock, going all the way back, so to speak. I mean, you've had some serious trials and tribulations along the years here. This is a pretty gnarly background. Bring us all the way back to, you know, the early stages, joining the Army and what that was like.
Once upon a time when I was a young buck,
back in the old court.
Back in the old days. You guys don't even know how it was.
You ain't seen shit.
So, I got my master's degree in engineering because I've been a nerd. I'm like an old school nerd. Like I went to space camp. I went to space camp twice. Like nice. I am serious old school nerd. So I went to engineering school, got my master's, got a job. And one day as I'm sitting there, and for some reason it never occurred to me, like, oh, engineering, you're just going to be sitting there and looking at blueprints. No, that never occurred to me because that's what I was doing. And I was doing blueprint takeoffs. I couldn't see a window from where I was sitting. And all my life I'd wanted to be an astronaut. And all of a sudden I couldn't even see outside. So I was like, you know what? I kind of wanted to do the military thing, but I just, I pulled all my applications for the service schools because I just didn't want to go to boot camp for 4 years. I may as well go for 2 weeks. Right. And I didn't do ROTC because I wanted to focus on one thing or the other. And so one day I just walked into my boss's office and I was like, I think I'm going to join the Army or the military. And he was like, what? Like, he laughed at me.
His eyes glazed over. Now, what year was this?
This was I would have walked in there in 2002. And
right. So you're double crazy. Hey.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's a large, he was a larger Italian, New Jersey, like Central Jersey type of guy. Nice. And we worked in construction management. I mean,
picture that dude with a hoagie in his hands. Not gonna lie, it's a hoagie, some sort of cold cut trio, maybe with maybe a meatball, a nice gravy on there.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Yeah,
it's nice.
That is a very good description of him. So he laughed at me, and I was like, oh, you think it's funny, huh? So I went back to my desk and called a recruiter, and then ended up going active because recruiters are hilarious in what they can get you to do. And I enlisted in the Army on active duty for a 5-year contract in counterintelligence and human intelligence collection, which later I combined in with interrogations. So it was kind of an interesting route. Let me tell you how excited my parents were. They were like, wait.
You went to Cornell and then you enlisted in the Army.
They're like, wait. You're not even gonna be an officer. And I was like, so, I just want to see what people are doing at that level. Maybe later I'll go officer. Yeah, I never did because that was not my jam. So,
right.
So I went to, so I went through, and within two months or something of getting to my first unit after school, I was in Afghanistan. And
beautiful.
Like, hey, not only that, we're going to send you to like this totally remote. It's still kind of like the Wild West out there. I was in Western Afghanistan, but nobody was out there yet because it was early. Let's see, I left in 2003. It was early 2004. And so nobody was out there yet. It was before Shindan was a thing, before Farah was a thing. And they were like, the Air Force will maybe drop off food like once a month, maybe once every 2 months. We'll see you later. Have fun. And
just call us if you need help. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Golden hour. You got your 9 lines, right? You got your 9 lines? Yeah. You got a radio? Pretty good.
So not only that, when we eventually did have to call for like a flyover because there were riots in the city, they were like, we can get something down there. It's going to take us like a day. I was like, how is this emergency? How is this help? So we were like, we're taking fire on the compound. This is not helpful. So it was a fascinating learning experience, which is, I like to call them. Later, how one of my first sergeants would say, "Hey, guess what? I'm sending you a leadership challenge." And I was like, like, I know what that means. That's not cool. So,
right. Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to be a leadership challenge. I'm going to get so much development out of this. So.
Oh my goodness.
You at least give me one other competent guy. So it was fun though. So after I did Afghanistan for a bit and came back, and 4.5 months later we were on a plane to Iraq for about another year. And we were on, especially Intel was on really heavy rotation at that point. And when we went to Afghanistan, we went on a company deployment. So when we showed back up, our battalion commander, I don't know what they're called in like the Marines, like batteries. I don't even know. I don't know. Squadrons. Who knows?
Okay.
Like of smaller units. But we went as a company size element. So for an Intel company, I mean, we were like 60 strong, maybe.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's who was spread out all over Afghanistan. So we'd come back in, and our commander was like, "So I know you guys want to see your families, and they're all out there, and great job. You guys did awesome things. We'll get you a citation or two, but just so you know, the brigade is leaving for Iraq in 3.5, 4 months, and you guys are going to." And we were like, "Oh, well, I guess I won't unpack much." So
right, Jesus, 90-day turnaround. My God.
Yeah. So we ended up they gave us a stay of execution, so to speak, for a little bit, but
it's dramatic.
Yeah, right. Like calling the governor. But it was so right after the new year that year in 2005, we went to Iraq. So I got to see the first quote unquote democratic election in both countries. Pretty excited about that.
Yeah, we were in zone at the same time. I was in Ramadi when those were going on.
Oh yeah, that was a fun place to be, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was awesome. Let me tell you, in a Humvee, just
Ooh,
it was
It's not a thing yet. They were like, oh, but it's fine. You were in an MRAP, right? I was like, I never saw one in person. I still had an up armor, like they had the add-on armor on the 998s, and there was one instance where a warrant officer was like speeding, and I was like, Chief, you are gonna flip this thing over. Science says it's top heavy. And the next day I came back and he had the doors removed because he was like, what? You said it was top heavy. I was like, I meant slow down taking the turn.
We can outrun the blast. This is happening.
I was like, now we don't even have any doors.
Dear God. And what was the AO?
Central. So I started out in Baghdad where I worked both embassy and diplomatic intelligence, and started doing hostage rescue with the embassy personnel and special forces personnel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know Ramadi well, but
oh my God.
yeah. So it was, we were like, can we get those guys to come back? I really don't want to have to take a drive out there. But yeah, so we were pushing like the various militias and so forth to please stop kidnapping both Westerners and locals, if they didn't mind, because it really was cramping our style. So yeah, and that was a fun adventure. Also,
you guys at home need to look at Elana Duffy. You need to look at Elana Duffy's picture and see her on Facebook and be like, well.
Yeah.
So like you're doing trap missions?
I am 5'4", and I think at the time I'm probably still around like 110.
Right.
So because I lost weight in the combat zone because I don't like to eat when it's super hot, and my God, it was super hot. So it was so it was like me walking into the darker versions of special forces and being like, hey, A, I'm a girl. B, I'm about to tell you what to do. And
they could have locked you in a sea bag.
It was amazing. They were like, and then they would get super bitter the next day when I was right.
Yay.
Oh man, God, it was so nice.
The
like if only we had actually caught Zarqawi when I told them where he was, it would have been way better. But instead, they were like, "Oh no, maybe we'll just go tomorrow."
Forehead slap.
Yeah. So that was amazing. And then I moved up to Baghdad, where it was me with a large contingent of primarily Samoans. So these guys are like 6'5", like 300. And I was like, I didn't even know that they made uniforms in that size.
Right.
And I would walk up and I'd be like, hey guys, like we walking into the village, or we gonna convoy in today? And there was some of them, they were just like, hey, we walking today. You get my pocket little thing. I'll take you. Like, and I seriously was like, you know what, I could probably fit. Like, it was hilarious. Those guys are awesome. Like, if anybody gets a chance to work with 10442 Infantry, one of the most decorated battalions in the Army, they should look into working with those guys because they are amazing.
That's awesome.
But
that's so funny because I work with what do we call them? They were either lionesses or they were like female intelligence teams, essentially, right? In order to work with any of the women that are in the local population, right? And I was an advisor. I thought they stuck out like just a sore thumb, because they're all your height. I'm 6'2" and I weigh like 300 pounds with all of this crap on, stomping around. You know, and you're just looking at these boots like, I didn't even know that they had children's-sized baits. Like, that's crazy. It's nuts.
Yeah, I'm like looking at the guys, and I was like, size 15? That's a hell of a boot print. And they were like, yeah, we can fit like 6 of yours in there. Let's go. But, it was amazing.
Yes.
There was like one day where I had to cut across a field, and and I start like trying to push my way through whatever brush it was. And one of the guys was like, get out of the way, little thing. And he just barrages through. Right. And I was like, all right, man, like, I'll just go in your wake. I mean, it was like Field of Dreams, like they were parting.
Where's Ray Liotta when you need him? No, I swear to God, I used to say that on the PRR. Like, I'm not even playing around. I'm like, we're going to step out, and fucking Costner is going to be eating popcorn or some shit. Yeah. This is outrageous. We don't need to be doing this. We're freaking walking through stalks and shit. No. Yeah.
If you build it, they will come. I was like, no, if you build it, they will blow it up.
Exactly. No, was this in... So, I was walking around in cornfields.
That was outside of like Balad. So the Salman Rushdie Yathrib Oasis is a thing.
No shit.
But...
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was right outside of Yathrib, and they could actually grow a couple of things there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See, it's interesting. When I was in Afghanistan, we did like half the tour. Well, the majority of the tour was up in Kajaki, and then we had the last 2 months down in Sangin. And the green zone.
Nice.
Right. Exactly. So the green zone is not. The green zone is in Iraq, right? The green zone is like there's vegetation and stuff like that. So we used to. The Kajaki green zone is not to be messed with. And, right, you need to treat that with some respect, especially Kajaki Sofa and some of those other different areas. And so when we got down to Sangin, which I wound up climbing off a 7-ton with my team, and I immediately saw my buddy, who was my instructor at a school a long time ago. We became friends. And I'm like, no way. I call him by his first name. He swings around. Holy shit. And so later on, we're out on patrol, and I am sketchy. Like, I'm like, dude, the cornfields up in Kajaki ain't no joke, right? So I'm tiptoeing through the bush with him, and he stops, walks up to me. And you know how it is. Like, you never have somebody walk up to you while you're on patrol. You always maintain dispersion. He just grabs a hold of me. He's like, bro, gotta be so sketch, man.
You're creeping people out, man.
Right, exactly. freaking up my jars. Yeah. Oh God. Just different AO. Like, all right, we're gonna be fine. You guys walk.
I mean, it's okay because even by the time I was out of the combat zone, when I got to when I PCS to Germany after my time at Bragg, which was shortly after that second deployment. So I was like, wait, you guys already know when you're sending us back? I think I might switch duty stations for a little bit.
Good call.
So I went out to Germany. Yeah, right. Went out to Germany, and the guy that picks me up was like, like they have like a little sponsor, and they're like, oh, we'll show you like where things are, and then here's where you're going to stay for the next couple of days until we get you hooked up with like housing. Mm-hmm. And he pulls up on the side of this like little parade field, and he points, and he was like, there's barricades, so I can't take you over there. That building right across this parade field is your barracks, like where we're going to put you for a couple of days. And I immediately get all of my crap, like, a couple of duffel bags worth of shit. And I start walking around the parade field, and he rolls down the window, and he was like, hey, Sarn, you can walk on the grass here. You ain't at Fort Bragg anymore. And I was like, what? Like, and I'm like stepping on the grass, like convinced a sergeant major is just going to pop up out of nowhere and just like, get off my grass. You want to mow there?
Oh, shit. That's fantastic. Yeah. That's indoctrination. Like, no, you don't step on the grass, man.
I can't step on the grass. What if there's a sergeant major trap around here?
Oh my God. Good job, Army. God.
Yeah.
No, it's the same thing in Twin Palms. We've got this spot of grass called the General's Lawn.
You don't have grass. grass. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
It's the way, it's like a football field worth of grass. And then, of course, the golf course. There's a golf course over there, which holds a special spot in my heart because that's where I made my daughter. But that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
So
sure
that's not, we probably shouldn't go there. Yeah. But no, the general's lawn, if you look at it wrong, Sergeant Major will knife hand you. That's a proven fact. From 1,000 meters out. So he's dead on dead. Yeah. No, the fear is real. Completely understandable. Now, okay, correct me if I'm wrong here. Were you wounded overseas on the third?
I was.
Okay.
I was hit by a roadside bomb. I was hit by an IED in 2005, towards the end of that Iraq deployment, and then I suffered a pretty massive traumatic brain injury.
Mm-hmm.
But because they were studying post-traumatic stress pretty heavily at the time, they just thought I was kind of losing my mind. Bleeding a little bit out of the ears. Yeah, whatever. Bleeding out of the ears. All of a sudden, couldn't remember anybody's name. Couldn't remember names of like friends from like high school and college. And I was somebody who, like, all through intelligence school, all through my deployments, I never wrote anything down. I never needed to. I could remember almost word for word what conversations entailed. All of a sudden, I didn't even know who my sources were. Like, we pulled up to a house, and I was like, what are we doing here? Is this, are we setting up a checkpoint? And my partner was like, this is the dude you've been talking to for 3 months. Like, we need to find out some stuff today. And I was like, oh, well. And but that was enough to prompt them to say, something's wrong, but we don't know what it is. So nobody did an MRI for a while. And by a while, I mean 2007, when somebody finally figured out, hey, you know what we never did for all of these complaints of migraines, and which you'd never had before, and memory loss and vision loss and all these other things? We never did an MRI. Weird.
Man, that's brutal.
So a neurologist did it and sent me out to Walter Reed, which is another scenic place that I can lovingly refer to as home for a couple. Old Walter Reed too.
Well, that's no bueno.
So, yeah, right.
Yeah, because they did that big upfit. I was there. I did the before and after. I didn't. I wasn't wounded or anything like that. Just in visiting and bringing other fellow Marines up there and stuff. So I got to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you guys still went to Navy Hospital Bethesda, right?
Yes, unless they're doing ocular stuff. So they would outpatient that to Walter Reed. At least that's what these guys were doing. So that's what brought me there. So I was the guy. Yeah. You can't really drive yourself when your eyes are getting worked on.
Yeah.
So yeah, had to be that guy. Which it was a real rough duty. It was rough. It was tough losing a day of work, sitting out in the hot sun, teaching lieutenants how to shoot.
All the way up to T. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, teaching lieutenants how to shoot. God help you.
It was an enlightening experience.
Yeah.
They tell you what, you're like, they're dumb like us. That makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, wait, that makes total sense. So Walter Reed was hilarious because you can tell that, like, aside from what they had to do, they hadn't really remodeled in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so where I ended up staying once they moved me to outpatient, I was inpatient for I got neurosurgery done, and I like to call it vacuuming out my brain, but so they took out a chunk of like the coagulated mess that was in my brain and some of the scar tissue. So we go to.
Did you feel lightheaded afterwards? I had to.
Yeah. There you go. Oh God, you're such a dad. Dad jokes. So I go to I'm in this, like, and it's like a hotel, sort of, where they were housing a lot of the people who were outpatient. And it was like all of the patterns didn't match, and they were terrible, like paisleys and plaids and stripes and zigzags. And my like first, I must have made it within the first 24 hours. I was like, whose bright idea was it to put the brain patients in the place where, like, you can't look at something that doesn't look like it's moving?
Right.
I was like, the walls are moving. It doesn't match the floor, so the floor is moving a different way. What the hell is going on?
Oh my God. I can't imagine.
Oh, it was great. And plus, because I'm a female, everybody, and so at the time I was still married to an infantryman who had sleeves and like looked like a big old infantryman from the 82nd, which he was. So I had, of course, and I'm like this like small 5'4" thing. So, and I now have 2 black eyes, bruises all up and down my arms from all the IVs. And I'm like walking like sideways. So he was frequently like correcting my course. And I swear, like 3 people walked up to me and they were like, "Are you okay? Like, you're all right,
ma'am? Do you want to be here?"
Yeah. Do I need to call somebody to help you? And I was like, oh my God, people, like I'm the one who's supposed to be here.
Right.
Yeah. Oh.
For the last time, I fell down the stairs.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was a doorknob. What? So.
It's like, my wife's pregnant right now. People are like, oh, when'd she do? And I'm like, oh no, she's just fat.
Yeah.
She just
no.
loves ice cream and Cheetos.
It is so much ice cream and cookies. Yeah.
Now he beats you twice a day in order to stay.
Yeah.
That's so terrible. Right.
It was awful. And of course, now I'm hanging out with like a buddy of mine who right around the same time, or about 6 months before, I had seen him, and he had gone to Afghanistan. For his first month in Afghanistan, he lost both of his legs. And so he was at Walter Reed at the same time as I was. And I was like, oh shit, he's here. So I look him up, and we're hanging out half the time. Because like, what else are you going to do at Walter Reed? You're like, I don't know, like you have no legs, and like, I can't walk in a straight line. So at least I can like hold on to your wheelchair or some shit. And yeah, so like we hung out all the time, and then he was saying how he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be here for like 2 years. So come back and visit, because, I get walking legs and running legs and like swimming legs and shower legs. I'm going to get those. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Straight up Lieutenant Dan style.
Yeah, right?
See, like, I've got a buddy, I gotta have Eamon on the show. He got blown up, lost both of his legs, and I saw him at a party afterward. He was always a short arse, you know what I mean? And I'll tell him this to his face. I hope he listens to this episode, but I walk up to him, nudge him, and go, hey man, are you taller now? It's like, yeah, I had the docs add a couple of inches. Huh? What do you think? Yeah. Just, yes. Yeah.
Another one of my amputee buddies does that periodically. He's like, oh, whatever. Like, I better get some height on. So, yeah. So I went there, and then I sort of doctor dodged a little bit, because I was like, well, like, they're probably going to try to ultimately boot me from the service, and I really kind of didn't want to leave because I liked the job I did. Like, quite frankly, intel collection's fun when you know what you're doing. So, and it's like you're contributing. Like you're like, no, I'm getting real tangible stuff of like, where are the bad guys with the bombs, and where are the terrorists in Germany, and like all this stuff. And then they finally caught up to me and started a med board process. So as many of us know, that was another like 2 years of my life I'll never get back. And so I finally got out in 2012. I had been assessed into a special mission unit by then. I had been doing just fine. I was going to drop a packet for warrant officer school, volunteered to go on one more deployment before I went to warrant officer school, and the doc comes back in and he's like, oh, I'm not going to sign that memo that you asked for me to sign so you can deploy. And I was like, what? Why not? And he was like, because see here in the he had to show me the regulation that said that my condition was no longer serviceable that I was no longer for service. And he was like, you were supposed to be med boarded. And I was like, God damn it, can I just like back out of here real slow?
Right.
And like we never had this conversation. Yeah, so they wouldn't deploy me. I went through the 5 or whatever stages. Like I was like bargaining and like whatever.
Right.
So and then I went back. So ultimately I got shipped back home and had a pretty terrible time transitioning. And that's why I ended up starting my own companies, because dealing with some of the civilian world so quickly. And I mean, you got to do this fast when you're in somewhere like New York City, because you're like, I'm going to burn through my savings with a quickness.
Right.
Of
course.
Yeah.
Now, you got an MBA also, though.
No, I'm going now.
Oh, you're going now. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Because I don't do enough with my time.
Right.
That I decided to start.
So then, all right.
Because I basically said, I have no idea what I'm doing. I need to start. I need to get an MBA so I have any idea what I'm doing.
So when did you really fire it up, though? You got out, you were like, hey, I'm going to do this. Did you just immediately know you're an entrepreneur, or what?
So not really. I was interviewing, looking for either engineer. Well, first I was looking at government work and like bureau and agency and like everything with three or more letters. And I actually got on the list. I'm still on the list probably for several of them. Mm-hmm. But ultimately it was a sequester. So it took so long that I was like, well, by now I'm tired of dealing with the dregs of human society. Because when you have to sit across from somebody in an interrogation or even like a questioning for a counterintelligence investigation, you're not talking to the best humanity has to offer. You're probably talking to someone who wants you or someone you care about dead. So it was a little like, and finally I was like, oh my God, I'm so much happier when I don't have to deal with these people.
We don't have to deal with terrorists anymore. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
So I ultimately was like, you know what, never mind. I'm gonna try to get a job that like makes me money, and I'm gonna do volunteer stuff, and I like doing I'm gonna go back to my engineering roots and like build things and do things. And then I was like, and then everybody said to me, yeah, but your engineering degree, yeah, it's like 10 years old. And then I was getting problems I was a grouchy ass veteran. So I was not having personality fits with certain places because I was like, why is everything so stupid?
Right.
And
why do you do it that way? Because that's how we've always done it. Oh, you've always been dumb.
Not again.
Right.
So,
right.
This is why I got in trouble in the Army, and I just never learned.
This all makes sense to me because you've got an intelligence gathering background, and then you've got Pathfinder, right? Just kind of bringing it full circle here, and following it home, go to Pathfinder.vet, right? That's what it is, Pathfinder.vet, which is very cool. Pathfinder.vet. But what I love about this is you're almost gathering intel on all of the resources that are worth a damn. Is that the wrong way of putting it?
We're making sure that they can be shared with each other. So we're not doing like agency type of collection here where you're like, no, we're going to keep this squirrely and siloed, because that's how it already is. We're trying to put up this information sharing network so vets can help other vets and family members can help other family members and vets to identify what's awesome and kind of what to stay away from. So it's basically a way to gather and then share the information in the most efficient and productive way possible so nobody ends up getting screwed over. It's the same thing. Like you don't want to hit an IED, so you got to tell somebody about it. You don't want to go to like some crappy mental health organization and somebody else ends up going there and has a miserable experience. Like you don't want any of that to happen, and you don't want to see your buddies coming out. I could name like 5 places to stay away from off the top of my head in like the New York City area. So if anybody comes here, I want them to know that, because I want them to continue searching for resources. So later on in a year or so, they're not dealing with mental health concerns and homelessness concerns and all of these other things. And, you know, they're doing things like getting enrolled in the VA, but maybe try the Bronx because it seems to be a little bit better up there. Because you can review the VA too. You can review the VA hospital and see if there are alternatives in your area for places that you can go for treatment or alternatives in the organizations. So, I mean, there's so much out there. There's over 1 million resources. So, like, and that's nationwide, but we just need to tell each other where they are and how to get there.
That's fantastic. Elana Duffy, I commend you. I mean, this is fantastic. You're adding value to the world with these resources, or with this community. So, does it cost anything to be a member of this? I mean, how does it really work? How can people get involved?
It is $3. So you can go, veterans, family members, community members, anybody who has an interest in supporting veterans and family members who has used or would like to use a particular resource. Even donors can go on and review organizations and search for new ones. We're updating our code in the next couple of weeks that will make searches easier, and it is free. It is 100% free to use it as a community member, be it veteran, family member, or otherwise. And we do keep it family friendly, so the kids can find things like the Sesame Street program and so forth.
Nice.
Which is actually a really cool program. You know, they have one? Weird.
I did not.
Yeah.
See? Now, if I go to Pathfinder.vet, I can look that up.
Yeah, you can find it. I think it's in the community family section right now. So these are all the different ways that we are trying to make sure that everybody's available and everybody's sharing. It costs absolutely nothing. Where we are recouping that is in a lot of the analysis that we're able to do for the organizations and for cities and other functions. Nice. So we want to maintain no cost ever to community members to use this service.
It's beautiful. Gotta love it. There you go. Check it out right now, Pathfinder.vet. If you haven't already done so, look that up. While you're at it, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM. Anywhere that you enjoy sharing Cigars and Sea Stories, any of those other aggregators out there, go ahead and leave your comments in the section below, on the website, on Facebook, on iTunes, wherever, you know, and link up with Elana Duffy, because she's awesome. So, I mean, like, honestly, when we were on the phone earlier, I was just like, oh yeah, absolutely. We've got to have this woman on Cigars and Sea Stories. She's badass. So thank you so much for being with us. You got any final closing thoughts for our vetrepreneurs or anybody else out there making the transition? Anyone at all?
No, go out there and do good things.
Nice. Just kick the door in and go with it. Yeah. No, I like that. I like that.
Pretty much.
Hell yes. Elana Duffy, Pathfinder, you are awesome. Keep adding value to the world. Thank you so much to our listeners and to our sponsors. Thank you to our network, Heroes Media Group. Whole host suite of shows on there. I love hopping on and checking out all the Heroes Media Group. You can find them online. Thank you to our sponsors, veteranslist.us. You can get a featured membership on there as a small business owner for 50% off right now, just by punching in discount code Cigars and Sea. and you'll be good. 50% off to small business owners who are looking to get a featured membership on veteranslist.us. Punch in Cigars and Sea. Elana Duffy, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us on Cigars and Sea Stories. You have a wonderful day. Folks,
thank you, and you guys too.
Thank you. And on that note, we cue the music.
Our flag unfurled to every breeze, from dawn to setting sun.